Welcome to the Pausecast. I am super excited to not have one, but two incredible guests with me today. We have Jan Wallen joining us. Hi, Jan. How are you?
Hello, Rachel. I'm just great today.
Yeah, great. And we have Marilyn Miller. Hi, Marilyn. Great to see you here.
Rachel, nice to be here.
Yes, and we were just explaining before we hit the we hit the record button, not the pause button, the record button, that Jan and Marilyn both have separate businesses, but between them, they have some pretty great synergies and messages to share. So that's why they're here today, so that we can learn from them in the spirit of how pausing increases success and along the lines of money, making more money, raising your fees without losing clients is Jan's specialty. And I'll just have them briefly introduce themselves. And then Marilyn has graciously accepted to lead us in one of her pauses. So tell us a little bit about you, Marilyn, and about your background.
Well, my background began long ago in academia, but I've been in corporate training for many years, and now I'm the director of the Women's Health and Wealth Academy, where I take great delight in helping women earn more and stressing less. And I like to stress that because too many women stress too much, give too much, and don't earn what they deserve.
Here. And we could all use a little less stress these days. So I love that initiative. And how about you, Jan?
Yes, my business now is about raising your fees. And the way it started was very interesting. I've been in business for over 12 years, working with companies and their sales teams and entrepreneurs on how to get clients for their business and grow their business. So in my corporate career, I was doing a number of things and got so busy. And finally, at one point, I realized I was too busy and not doing enough of the right things. And so I really sort of stopped briefly and took a break. And I did the same thing during this pandemic. And what I realized was I really want to focus on what is really important to me. And it's always bothered me that entrepreneurs undercharge and people in corporate don't ask for raises or promotions as much as they could. So again, I'm really concerned about earning less. So that's why I decided to start my programs now, Raise Your Fees Without Losing Clients.
It's exciting. Thank you for sharing it. I know you have your book that's coming out, Raise Your Fees at the same.
Yes, my book's coming out very soon, Raise Your Fees Without Losing Clients. I'm excited. Yes.
Yeah. So this is all really exciting. And we haven't had the topic of finances really come on the podcast yet. So I'm really excited to dive into that with you. But first, Marilyn, would you like to lead us in your pause?
Yes, I would. This is a pause process that is guaranteed to reduce your stress very quickly. And that's the purpose. You can do it anytime, anywhere. You can do it in front of your computer. You can do it in the office. You can do it at home. You can do it anywhere. So I will just invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Hold it in, 1, 2, 3, and release. Now we're going to take a breath again, and then we're going to pretend like we're in a swimming pool. We're going to dive into the water. And as we breathe in and exhale to the count of 3, we're going to go under the water just as we did in a pool and experience total silence. So breathe in with me and exhale. 1, 2, 3, go down into the water where it is quiet and it is still. And you feel yourself in the midst of any situation, deep inside yourself where it is quiet. Now imagine that you see a school of dolphins in the bright sun, in a blue sea, and you are going to be one of the dolphins. And as you take a deep breath in, and you're going to dive down into the water, down into the silence, down into the peace, down into the quiet. And you're deep inside yourself, where it is completely still. And no matter what is going on around you, your mind may be racing on the surface, but deep in the water, like a dolphin, you are smiling like the graceful dolphin smiles, because you feel the peace, you feel the quiet, and you know that everything is going well. 1, 2, 3, and come up. And that's the dolphin deep dive process.
Wow, thank you. I think that's so powerful as a visualization, and most of us can identify with that underwater stillness that you mentioned, and then it can have that soothing effect, that profound calming that you brought in. I felt that. And then dolphins, who doesn't want to be with the dolphins and swimming with them?
And being a dolphin, because the dolphin is so graceful and so happy.
Yes.
It sends absolutely signals to the brain. Neuroscience has proved that this creates a calming effect in your brain. And you can do it anytime, anywhere. We have a woman at Google who used to do this in the Google cafeteria in the middle of all the noise and racket. She used to just sit, do this meditation, eat and quiet, completely impervious to what was going on around her.
That's great. We all need that in the Google Cafe, I'm sure. And I've swam with the dolphins. Who are my dolphin fans out there? If you're listening, who's felt that? I know I felt like I had like a 4-hour like euphoria after party in my brain. I just felt it felt like all the it literally felt, I could feel my endorphins just really like hanging out, and it was really powerful. And so you brought us back there, and I think even just that visualization can stimulate that. That's so great. Well, Marilyn, speaking of pausing, and this is your realm of expertise, helping women be less stressed, like words in my own heart here. Tell us a little bit about this golden pause philosophy you have, and what it is that you help women understand that can help them really increase their success through this golden pause practice.
Well, my program is really about being more productive with less effort. And
I love that.
There is an industrial study that was done long ago that said men who were loading pig iron from a railway car to the warehouse, if they would stop after every load that they were pushing for 5 minutes, they absolutely could do better than the control group who was just going back and forth and back and forth. And they did this over the length of a day. And at the end of the day, the group that paused for 5 minutes after every load were 4 times more productive than the group of men who just went back and forth and back and forth. So I really encourage women to take a break every 45 minutes to an hour and do one of these 2-minute stress busters so that they are completely calm, regardless of what's going on. And they have very carefully, before they begin anything, prioritized their work so that they know they're doing the most important thing first. So it's really about time awareness and time use. We can't manage time. Everybody's got the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day, and no matter how we mess it up, tomorrow we get another 24. So how we use our time is directly related to how much money we make.
Yeah, here. Yes. And what I love about what you're saying, it's really resonating with me, because that's what Daniel Goleman says too, who wrote Emotional Intelligence, and someone who's been on the Pausecast and has shared his wisdom about similar things, where every 45 to 90 minutes is the optimal time to pause or do something for interjecting a couple minutes, not a lot. It doesn't need to be a lot of the time. In fact, he says you're healthier and better off to work out like in 15-minute increments than a full hour or more. Like,
yes.
And that's like the same idea, I think. So yeah, I think that's the pause integrative lifestyle that I also am a big advocate of. And it's not about just taking like a week-long vacation, although that can be great or longer. It's how do I show up every day
Every
to
day.
be more productive, to expand my capacity and to thrive, because I know I'm in service to my doing.
Mhm.
And I think that you've hit it right there.
Exactly right.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
do that because I am a reformed stress junkie, having survived 3 very serious stress-related illnesses. And it was all because I loved what I was doing. I just was doing it to my own detriment.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, I know for me too, I'm burning out, and many people I think who have learned the hard way that it doesn't need to be the work harder mode.
Mhm.
It can actually be a much different story. And
I say, I like to teach women to work wise. Wise women work wiser.
ooh, wise women work wiser. That must be a bumper sticker somewhere. Do you have that yet? We're gonna have to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk to you, Jan, because I know we mentioned
Sure.
finances, and that can also help you make more money. So
Mhm.
what is your experience with this process of pausing or just intentional shifts in behavior? Because that's your story, right? So tell us a little bit about you,
Yes.
and how did you get to know this?
Oh, I got to know this when I was in corporate. I was with a global consulting firm, and they asked me to come in and start and manage a national selling skills program for their partners. And I was doing that. Plus, then someone left, and they asked me to take over that person's work also. And it was like, what? And I realized I was so busy all the time, and I wasn't really accomplishing anything. I just felt like I was always kind of on the treadmill and going and going and going, but then what? And I realized I had to do something to change it. Also, was in New York City, and I went for a walk one time after work and realized it was right around Christmas time, which is beautiful here, and all the decorations are out, and people come from everywhere to look at Christmas. So I was looking at people while I just was walking, and they were all looking at the tree and the decorations and oohing and awing. And I thought, I don't even take time to enjoy my own city at Christmas. I said, something's got to change. And so that's where I started taking pauses for myself first thing in the morning. I just claimed 6:30 to 7 a.m. was my time, period. And I'd get my thoughts together and think about what the day was going to bring, but not with that kind of stress that's, oh, I've got so much to do. It was just like, no, the day is going to go. I'm going to be calm about it. And if I thought through what was coming, then I'd get on the subway and go to work. Then I'd still would take a couple minutes. I'd get there a few minutes early, because then I could take 5 minutes to myself. And that was another pause that would just let me get my mind organized and then go on with that. So that's where I realized if I really wanted to make a difference and do what I wanted to do and have a career that I wanted that made a difference for people, I had to build these pauses into my life daily and weekly and periodically to say, am I really still on the right track?
And I think if you're a New Yorker and you've learned how to do that, it's like the apex of your life, because in New York, it's always on. And I know, being a New Yorker myself, it's like everything is against the current for wanting to do that. And so kudos for just trying that. And I love what you said about claiming it. I think a lot of times as women, we forget, or we just don't think we can claim something that could be ours, like a 30 minutes in the morning, because then all these other demands are on us, or we got to do these XYZ things for other people. But the reality is, well, what if I put myself first and took care of me so that I could take care of everything else from there? And it makes a huge difference.
What I realized I was doing is saying, I don't have time for this. And the things I never had time for was the things that I really enjoyed and the things that recharged me. And I just kept saying, I'm too busy, I don't have time. And then I started saying, I have 10 minutes for this. It's like, we don't have to have a half day to do something. It can be a few minutes. And so then I realized, okay, I started taking 10 minutes. Well, sure enough, somehow things started evening out, and I was then able to take a little bit more now and again. However, I always knew no matter what was going on, I could take 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's so important. And I love that, get that rationalization of like, I don't need to take this whole time. But what I also know, like, and this is from my own experience, is when we say I don't have time, it's saying I don't have time for me. Like, I don't have time to prioritize myself. And
Exactly.
that's a system of beliefs and being able to work through that. And it sounds like you were able to do that. And I hope anyone who's listening who resonates, I'm sure there are many women and men who are resonating with your story, who don't have time or feel like they don't. And what would you say to them? What would be your words of wisdom?
My words of wisdom would be to take 5 minutes sometime when it's going to be quiet. And I started getting up early before anybody else. And I know I've advised some of my clients to do the same. And they're starting to get up half an hour before everybody else. That's not a huge amount, but they take that half hour for themselves. And the interesting thing is when you start doing that, you get more confidence and realize, hey, I really can do this. And the next day and the next week after doing it a few times, you do start to say, wow, I can take time for myself. And I found I wanted to take more time for myself. The more I did it, the more I wanted to do it.
And it builds that momentum. Yeah.
Yes.
How about you, Marilyn? Do you have any words of wisdom to pass along, just in terms of, if someone's saying like, I don't have time to pause and my success is pretty good right now?
I think the most important thing is to realize that it really doesn't take even half an hour. During the day, you can take 2 minutes, you can take 5 minutes. And just, it is the refreshing of your energy that's important. And even if you stand up and just stretch up and touch your toes and sit back down again, or use one of my stress busters, you can really pay better attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speaking of these tools that both of you have, let's talk about some things from both of you. I'd love to hear one or two tools that you use to help. Let's start with you, Marilyn, with stress busters. What are some things other than a shorter pause during the day, which are great? What would you recommend?
Well, I think the biggest secret is don't put more than 6 things on your to-do list, because most women truly have about 15, 20, 25, and then at the end of the day, they feel completely discouraged. So if you put only 6 on your to-do list and put them in the order of priority, and do not go on to number 2 until you finish number 1, by the end of the day, if you've only done 3, you've done the 3 most important things.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, when I learned that, it changed my life, my workday completely.
What do you do if you've got 7, like number 7? You just wait for the next day?
Well, if you finish all 6, then you can do some more. But if you don't get to 7, you just transfer them to the next day if they're still important. Sometimes those things just disappear. But the secret is
someone else does it.
If you have 6 or if you have an interruption, that's okay. You put that on your list. But you say to yourself, I'm not going to do number 2 till I finish number 1, because that is the most important thing I have to do. And that's the hard part. It's not skipping all around. Well, I'll make a phone call. Well, I'll get a cup of coffee, blah, blah, blah. No, you've got to do one thing at a time. Multitasking, they've now proved, just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the second conversation I've had about multitasking in 2 days. And something that I remembered from speaking about it is your IQ goes down 10% when you multitask, and you don't get your to-dos done as well as you could.
Your attention is divided, your concentration is blown. Doesn't work.
Yeah, it is not effective. That's so powerful. How about for you, Jan? What's a tool that you like to use, or do you have a few?
Well, yes, we have a couple, and one of the things that I work with especially is you can quote me on this: outcomes power income. If you talk about the results you're getting, then you're better able to see how valuable you are to your company or to your clients. And so I have a process that we go through called your expertise DNA. And that's what positions and differentiates you from others who do similar work. And it's the reason you're able to get the results you are. A lot of people, and I would talk to people in corporate when they would come to me and say that they really wanted to ask for a raise, but they didn't really know how. And 2 clients came to me recently and said the same thing. And we talked about their expertise DNA, which is your unique combination of values and skills and expertise. No one has the same expertise DNA fingerprint. And so what we do is we go through wherever someone's working, whether it's an entrepreneur or in corporate, what are you working toward and what are some of the results that you get? And they don't have to be huge results, but what are your goals and what are the things that either your clients or your bosses or people in the company are looking to you for? Are you there to increase productivity? Are you there to keep other employees from leaving or help companies keep their staff? Right? We write these down and then talk about why are you able to get those results? Part of it is from things we learned in school, for example, what we majored in. And part of it is more because of choices we've made about our careers. And I know someone I was working with recently, she had a job offer with a company and she had worked with several companies and learned different things from each company. And because of that, the company that called her and said, we really want you to come work for us, they saw that she had that variety of experience and expertise. So we go through what are some of the results that you get and what makes it possible for you to do that. And that's your expertise DNA. When you understand that, you know how to talk about it and how to talk about what you're doing for the company or for your clients that's valuable to them.
That sounds so important to know. Like,
yes.
Yeah, knowing what your fingerprint is in that expertise
Yes.
is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Do you have another one as well?
I was just going to say a lot of my clients are multi-talented. And all this time, a lot of us have heard, oh, focus on one thing, choose one thing. Or some of my clients have heard, when are you going to settle down and do only one thing? Well, some of us aren't meant to. And in fact, we wouldn't be able to do what we do if we'd only done one thing. For example, a CEO of a global firm couldn't do that without knowing and experiencing something about sales, revenue, human resources, operations. You couldn't do it if you only do one thing. So that's another thing. I have a process we go through. And first of all, I tell them it's okay to do more than one thing. And the things that they're doing all contribute to why they get results. And then the next step, of course, once they know that, then we can have the conversation about how do you raise your fees? How do you have that conversation? Whether it's an entrepreneur raising their fees or someone in corporate wanting a raise or a promotion. So the what to say is the third piece.
Yeah, and I think what's resonating with me, and I think a lot of the people that I serve too, my clients, is this element of confidence that can be instilled when you start to think about that or practice or do something different. So does that also get affected, or how does that fit in?
Yes, it certainly does. Some people can, let's say, have the conversation asking for a raise or a promotion or raising their fees with clients. If they don't believe it themselves, they're not going to come across in a confident way. You have to understand what you're asking for and how that's helpful. Every single time we ask, it may not happen, and that's okay, but you have to have a certain a certain confidence to do it. And that's where, once you understand who you are and that you're not crazy because people always said do one thing and you knew you couldn't because you weren't meant to, then it's like that confidence comes. And there's also something I call the confidence ladder. Confidence is funny. It works backwards from what a lot of us think. A lot of times we'll see a confident person and say, oh, that person's confident. They've mastered it. they're confident all the time forever. It doesn't work that way. Especially if we're learning new things and making changes and doing new things, our confidence goes up and down. Whenever we do something we're comfortable with, our confidence is up. And then when we do something new, even like riding a bike or something like that at the beginning, we don't have confidence. So that in part comes from doing new things and simply realizing I'm going to be doing new things and growing all my life because that's who I am. So my confidence is going to go up and down. That's why I created the confidence ladder. Let's say, for example, you have something that you know is coming up and you want to be confident. Could be a presentation, it could be asking for a raise or a promotion or something like that. Think about what is it you want to be confident for? Be specific about it. And then picture yourself, visualize yourself having that conversation, and it's wonderful. It works. It's really a positive situation. And then think, okay, what does that person need to know in order to give me a raise? And write it down. And then what else? And they're always looking at what's going to make a difference. So let's say that you realize one of the things is you have to have that conversation. Maybe it's a formal conversation, maybe it's a more informal. So if you know you have to have that conversation, think of something else in your immediate life that you're comfortable with, like having a conversation with a friend. And then step it up a little bit and have a conversation about something you're not used to talking to with this friend, a new subject for you, maybe, and just talk about something different. You got to get yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. And then the next time, and then you build on it and build on it. It's not something, confidence isn't something that just happens.
Yeah, I'm hearing a method for this ladder, right? Confidence ladder, where it's okay, you go up, you go down the ladder, and the idea is to be in confidence with yourself, and this ritual of pausing to do an exercise like that, whether it's visual or writing down, journaling, and noting what that person needs to know, is a very powerful one. And I think that's a great example of service, of being in service to your doing, right? So actually taking a pause to intentionally shift your behavior, and that might include a visualization like swimming with the dolphins and being calm and relaxed before that. So that's really powerful. Wow, that's great. So many things to learn that we've covered a whole bunch of things. There's so much more I'm sure we could discuss. And just kind of wrapping up here, Marilyn, is there any other hot tip you'd like to share, and where can we find more out about you?
Well, I'll tell you a very quick hot tip is put down the amount of money you want to earn, either a month or a year, and post it everywhere. On the refrigerator, on your bathroom mirror, in your bedroom, and proclaim it every day. I'm delighted and I'm excited now that I earn $75,000 a year, because it has to be very comfortable for you to claim that, but it's about the repetition that makes the difference. I have a really interesting tool to share with people. If you go to earnmorestressless.com, and there's word prosperities after that, there's a lot of things there that are similar, but earnmorestressless.com and the word prosperity after that, you can take a free assessment and look at your goals in terms of stress and money. And if you complete that, then you'll get my 7 secrets of stress-less prosperity, which will give you some very specific things like we're talking about today that you can do. 7 specific things to help you earn more money. And they're all very easy, practical things to do.
These are so great. So I'll put this in the notes, in the show notes, earnmorestress.com/prosperity.
There's not a slash, but the word prosperity has to come after it, because when you
Oh.
put that in, a whole bunch of stuff comes up that looks
Okay.
like that. So you
Gotcha.
have to look for, the additional word prosperity, then you'll be right there. Click
Thank
on
you for
that, you'll get the assessment. If you do the assessment, all you have to do is move the little bar saying where you are on that graph. It takes about maybe 7 minutes. And then you can get my free report, 7 Secrets of Stress Less Prosperity.
Okay, so yeah, and that sounds really, really helpful. So we'll put the link in the chat and in the show notes. That sounds great. And then I love this idea of just sticking a Post-it around and just repeating repetitive.
Repeating it to yourself, I'm happy, but use the words, I'm happy and excited, or I'm delighted and overjoyed. The emotion is very important. Then you create the emotion, state the amount.
That's acting as if in the moment, right? Yeah,
Yes,
that's great.
exactly.
Thank you. I'm going to try that one. I have done a bunch of different things, but I actually haven't done it to that extent. So thank you for
And
mentioning that.
post it everywhere on your dashboard, on your steering wheel.
Yeah.
Make a little song about it.
A little ditty. That sounds great. Yes. And Jan, how about you? What would be your hot tip, and where can we find more out about you too?
Well, this is so interesting. Marilyn, I didn't talk about this, but I have before. I have a tip that what I ask my clients to do is, those little dots, colored dots that you get at the office supply store?
Mhm.
Get a package of the dots and say to yourself in an excited way, I'm raising my fees. Yes, I'm asking for a raise. Yes, I'm going to ask for a promotion. And every time you put those dots everywhere, like in your wallet and on your calendar and on your computer and on the bathroom mirror, everywhere. And with the same thing, yes, I'm raising my fees. Every time you see it, say it to yourself and say it out loud when you can, and be committed to it. And your mind needs to know that, and you need to feel the excitement of it all the time. And again, simply doing that helps to build your confidence as well.
And you're getting used to it. So it's no
Yes,
longer this big
exactly.
thing, and that's daunting or feels challenging, right? That's what I'm getting out of that, and the emotion. And how fun is that we're so aligned. You have
Yes.
you have very similar alignment in that, whether you're and asking for that money is going to get you what you want in the
Exactly.
revenue for the year. So
You're also telling the universe. You're telling
That's
the
exactly
universe,
right.
look, this is what this is what I am.
Exactly.
This is what
Yep.
I'm doing.
You're
Mhm.
so clear on it. Yeah, that is
Yes.
so great. Oh my gosh. Marilyn, Jan, thank you very much. So much appreciating your time and expertise today on the Pausecast. It's been such an honor to be with you both. And thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Well, thank you for having the Pausecast. I think it's wonderful. We really support you and we bless you.
Oh,
I
thank
do
you.
actually have something for people, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say that. Yes, go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah. If you go to raiseyourfees.com, you'll see my special report called 5 Things to Say When They Say Your Fees Are Too High. 3 of those specifically are perfect for if you want to ask for a raise or a promotion. So download the report first and then look at the 5, choose one that's best for you, and then send it to me, and we'll fine tune it and get it so that you're ready to raise your fees.
I love that.
And
So raiseyourfees.com.
Raiseyourfees.com.
Raiseyourfees.com. You can download the 5 tips and then pick what you want. Yeah. And
Yes.
and then let you know about it, and you can even
And then
help.
let me know about it and we'll fine tune it and you're on your way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. We'll put that in the notes too. So
Great.
thank you. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us. Blessings. May you be pausing in prosperity for both of you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Rachel.